How's it going, people? So as we all know, you can now officially build through terrain and save the world. But what does that mean exactly? And how does that affect trap tunnels going forward? Well, for today's video, we're going to try to answer those questions. So I guess the first thing we'll do is show one of the new trap tunnels you can make after this week's update. And then towards the end of the video, I'll show you where you can use this new trap tunnel, not only for regular missions, but also for SSDs and for events. But first I want to show the new trap tunnel you can build, now that it's possible to build through terrain. So one of the more popular trap tunnels I've seen over this past week is the one that people place on slopes. So before this most recent update, normally what people would do is place tire drop traps above the slope. And if you place them down facing this direction, whenever Husk walk up this slope and get hit by the tires, they sort of get staggered a little bit, which prevents them from going forward. I guess people sometimes used to also put like wall launchers on here maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much all you could do when it comes to these slopes before. But now that we can build through terrain, there's a couple pieces you can add on to it. One of them being floor pieces. And when it comes to floor pieces that are on slopes, the only traps that you can use are floor freeze traps, tar pits, retractable floor spikes, flame grill floor traps, and wooden floor spikes. And the one I think most people use are wooden floor spikes, especially for that first one, just so it slows them down a little bit. Oh, they're actually destroying the piece. Okay, so apparently they can destroy this piece, but one way you can fix it is by just placing a floor piece directly at the bottom. And I guess you could also put a wooden floor spike on this one as well, but I think it would be better to use a floor freeze trap or a tar pit trap right here, just because they'll still have the slowed effect from the first wooden floor spike. So you could go with 2 wooden floor spikes, you can go with a wooden floor spike and a freeze trap, but in this example we have a wooden floor spike and a tar pit. Tire traps don't change, we're going to go ahead and keep those there. Another thing you could do, you can add sound wall traps on these pieces right here, which will help you when it comes to sploders. And if you want, you could also put like a wall launcher right here just to push them off and force them to reset. But yeah, this is sort of the new trap tunnel you can use now that we can build through terrain. And I'm gonna go ahead and get these husks to follow me up the stairs just to show an example of what it can do. So the wooden floor spikes slow you down, the tires push them back. You see the sound wall traps work even if they're sort of covered by the slope. Let's see if we can get our wall launcher to work as well. Oh, yep, it does work. So this is sort of like the new tunnel you can use when it comes to slopes. Also, I just want to confirm that these other traps do indeed work. Oh, yep, we got some damage on the retractable floor spike. See if the flame grills work. Oh, yep, flame grills work on slopes too. But I think when it comes to floor traps, the best ones to use are wooden floor spikes, tar pits, and floor freeze traps. But retractable floor spikes and flame grill floor traps also work on slopes. Floor launchers do not work though. And wall launchers aren't going to work if you place them where we placed our sound walls. But yeah, the reason I think this tunnel has become popular is because it's really hard for the husks to get up the slope. The wooden floor spikes sort of slow them down. The tire traps will fall on them and push them back. And the wall launcher will push them out and make them start over. So this is a really good trap tunnel I would recommend if you ever have a slope near your objective. So now that I've showed the tunnels you can place on your slopes, next thing I want to do is show you a few examples where you can use this tunnel. And the first example we're going to take a look at is Frost Night. And the main area where I say you could apply this new trap tunnel is on the slope that's directly next to the objective, which is located here. Normally what we would do is just block it off, and I would assume blocking it off would still work, so you don't have to put a trap tunnel on the slope here. But now that it's possible to build traps on slopes, I guess you have options when it comes to this area. It doesn't have to be a block off. Instead, you could add our slope trap tunnel that we showed earlier, or a smaller version of it because the slope is a little bit smaller. But that's one area on Frost Night where you could add a sloped trap tunnel. Next event we're going to take a look at is the Hit the Road event. As a matter of fact, Hit the Road is expected to be released this week, and this is probably one of the best events where you can use a trap tunnel on a slope, As a matter of fact, there's 2 different slopes near the final objective. So one's located here on this side and the other one's located on this side. And normally we would just add tire drop traps over it and then add either a trap tunnel on the first floor or at the very top, but never on the slope. But now that we can build on slopes, I would say just put the trap tunnel we showed earlier on this slope and on the other slope. And I feel like this is going to make that final defense a lot easier. So I do feel like these changes were really useful when it comes to Hit the Road. And we'll do a video going over Hit the Road here in the next couple of days. But yeah, that's one event where I feel like trap tunnels on slopes is going to be really useful. Another event you could use these slope trap tunnels on is Survive the Horde, which is currently available. You can place traps on these slopes that are here at the cavern. There's actually quite a few different slopes you can place traps on. The thing with these slopes though is that they're sort of going downward towards the objective instead of going up towards the objective. So I'm not sure if tire drop traps would be appropriate to place above these. You may just want to place down like ceiling electric field traps, because if you place down tire traps on these slopes, they'll just push the husk closer to the objective. You can also place traps on the slope here next to the depot. And there's also a really good slope near the mine as well. So you can place our new trap tunnel on this slope as well. But again, this one's sort of going down towards the objective, so you may not want to put tire traps on it. You may want to go with ceiling electric field traps. And there's also a couple of slopes near the volcano. They're not really close to the objective, but Husk will walk over these slopes, so you may want to put traps on this slope as well. But yeah, those are a couple of different examples of where you can place sloped trap tunnels and Survive the Horde. I don't think building through terrain is going to be necessarily useful when it comes to the dungeons, but I do believe it'll be useful when it comes to SSDs and endurance. And I'm just going to go through my Twine endurance just to show a couple of examples. But again, if you ever find a slope in any of your endurances and the husk walk over that slope, then you may want to place down a sloped trap tunnel in that area. So right now I'm just showing a couple of different examples of where you can do that in your Twine Peaks SSD or Twine Peaks Endurance. Here's a couple of other examples of where you can place down sloped trap tunnels in Twine Peaks. And again, you can do the same thing for Canny, Plankerton, Stonewood. Last thing I want to do before I go is show another really good example of why being able to build through terrain is a good thing. So when it comes to Category 3 and Category 4 Fight the Atlas missions, sometimes you can get an Atlas that spawns directly next to an uneven slope, like this one. But they used to not let us build through this slope. So basically what we used to have to do is we would have to like build all the way around it, block it off, and then maybe add some walls here, maybe add a wall here, and we would have to block it off that way. And in some places you'll have to build even more pieces than that to cover the entire thing. So that way they can't just walk to the Atlas. This one actually isn't too bad. But after today's update, you don't have to do all that. All you have to do is just continue building around it like you normally would. So normally I would just close that off, and then we can close this off because we can build through the terrain. So yeah, this is another huge benefit that we got after this week's update. When it comes to Category 3, Category 4 missions that have atlases near uneven slopes, you no longer have to build around the entire slope. You can still build around the atlas like you normally would. It took me about an hour to find this atlas next to a slope though, so be sure to drop a like if you found the video useful. But yeah, those are just a couple of examples of what you can do now that you can build through terrain and build on slopes. Obviously, these aren't the only trap tunnels you can use. If you would like some more information on the best traps to use for your trap tunnels, as well as the best perks to use for your traps, then be sure to check out the link that's in the description. But yeah, that sums up everything I wanted to go over for this one. Just wanted to show the different traps that are good for trap tunnels that are on slopes, and I also wanted to show some examples of how you can use that for different events. Before I go, I did want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's been using Creator Code A1, and just want to say thank you for your support. Anyways, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.